Hello and welcome to Two Scoops of Woo, where we are delivering metaphysical flavor on a cone of logic. We are hosted and casted by a group of fellow seekers in wonderment that are asking metaphysical questions out loud. Today we have Desirea Pitman, who is a shape-shifting shaman that does soul blessings, and that is our focus today. Now, we've got a pretty cool story and some neat things that have woven in here, and one of our cast members actually brought Desiree to us, and then we found out we actually knew each other. So the story is fun, and we're going to weave it into our episode today. So Colleen, I got to say thank you to you first, because you're the one who made the connection and made sure Desiree made it to the show. So huge thanks for that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you guys met and what that was like, and why you chose to say, hey, let's have her on.
Yeah, because it was life changing. It was really a good experience for me. The first time I met you was at an event, a mind body spirit event, and that was in the summer. And you did a soul blessing on me, asked me if I wanted one as I was walking by, and really felt the difference after I left. And so a few months later, I scheduled a session with you. And the neat thing about what had happened is a couple of years ago, I had a friend of mine, and he was an energy worker, and he always got stuck at my solar plexus chakra. And then fast forward to Jason did an Akashic reading for me, and I have a golden web tear had a golden web tear on my solar plexus chakra. And then the healing I had with you, the collective that was there working with you, healed my solar plexus chakra. And I just think that is so amazing that it's three separate people in the same area, and the progression of that, and now it's healed. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. I really enjoy doing soul blessings, and I love watching, people walk up to my booth and they'll be smiling, but by the time they leave, they really do glow. And that's because my guides help me get to, whatever is truly blocking them and being able to clear it. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. And then I had a question with who you work with, the collectives, the different collectives. Does it change from person to person? Is it consistent? How does that work?
Yeah, there is some consistency to it, but it does change based on who's in front of me and who is actually receiving the soul blessing. And that's one of the reasons why I call myself a shapeshifter, is because I'll change the collective that I'm working with based on the person I'm working with. So if, for instance, the person is really waking to their healing energy, I'll get more of an Egyptian healing energy coming in, right? They'll actually bring them into the pyramid and initiate them into the priestesshood of healers, which is brilliant. But then I'll have other people who work on more of a galactic level. So then like the Galactic Light Council will come in and they'll be working with that individual. So it really just depends on who I'm working with. The other big group that I work with is like Jesus and Mary. Those are all other individuals, especially if it has to do with more children, younger, and then healing. So yeah. Oh, and then the Archangels. You can't forget the Archangels because they're awesome, right? That's your protection. That's your knowledge, all of that. They'll just come in and help. But it really just depends on who I'm working with and who they resonate with as well.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I'm going to roll back to the second person in your list there. Who is that guy, Jason, that left you hanging without healing, that you had to go to somebody else? That's not cool. I think you need to talk to that guy right away and figure that out. You need to let that practitioner know that you had to go to somebody else before that was rectified and resolved for yourself. There's such a great story here in so many layers, because Colleen has shared this with us previously, and when she brought Desiree to the table, Desiree and I are on the phone getting to know each other, and she's like, Jason, you know me. And then we realized, oh my gosh, we were actually neighbors. Now, okay, Jason realized. It took me a second to get there, you guys. I've been bumped in the head with a Cadillac. It happened. So every once in a while, something falls out, and I just have to pick it back up and put it in there. But when I realized, I remembered how much fun we had being next to each other, because BMSE, right, the Body, Mind, Spirit in Denver, Colorado, we were right next to each other and got to know each other there, and then did another show down the road, and then again in a year. Right, we had a really great time at the last Denver BMSE. We got a story there to share. But I'd really like to pass it off to another of our cast members, because we've got Erin Solis is with us today. I don't know where the Celeste came from. Sorry about that. And Darlene is with us today. And traditionally, Darlene does start us off in our questioning, so I'm going to pass it off that way, because we're just gonna keep rolling on here and learn more about what you do.
Well, Desiree, thank you for joining us tonight. This is so wonderful to have you. And I've heard the term soul blessing a few times this evening. And would you please go into a little bit more detail about exactly what that is? And I'm wondering, is it something that we can learn to do for ourselves, or is that just part of your practice, what you do for other people? And is it something that you can do remotely, or does it need to be in person?
Yes.
I know that's a lot of questions all at one time, but
Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to start off with, what is a soul blessing? Okay. What a soul blessing is it's basically a form of energy work where I will actually tap into somebody's heart chakra. When I do that, a couple things will happen. Number one, I'm going to remove any yuck energy I come across. Number two, I'm going to raise their vibration as high as I can get it. And then number three, I'm going to get an intuitive message that I will walk you through. Okay. So if we start with the first part of it, just kind of removing yuck energy. Throughout our day, we have dramas and traumas, good moods, bad moods, maybe somebody cut us off in traffic, all that stuff. And I imagine it's kind of like a dust that collects in our aura, right? If you leave it too long, it's going to get stuck there and it's going to get hard to clean, right? So what we want to do is just go in there, take it off, and then you just feel lighter, you feel cleaner. Just like when you get done cleaning your house, you're like, wow, this is nice. I like this. All right. You know, and so it's really draining off all that yuck that we can come across. Okay. From there, it's raising somebody's vibration. Okay. So that's literally taking them as high as you can possibly get them divinely. Now, there's also another way that we can describe that. If you think of a body, we always talk about how our body is supposed to be more on the alkaline side versus acidic side, right? You're the pH of your body. You guys following me?
Mm-hmm.
You think about how if you get too acidic in your body, it actually causes ailments and illnesses. So pH can be changed with energy, the water of pH, right? You can Google some YouTube videos, stuff like that. Well, what I actually do is I actually put so much electricity through somebody's body that they start switching the pH to more balanced state. When that pH is outside of balance, that's when illness happens. That's when sickness happens. That's when cancer can happen, right? Unfortunately. So if you start switching it back to where the optimal level is, you'll start reversing some of that stuff. That's kind of what a raising a vibration is. It feels good, right? You'll feel actual electricity going through your body. Sometimes you'll feel waves of energy going through your body. And when you get done, you almost feel like you're glowing. That's because of so much energy going through you during that soul blessing. And then the last part of the soul blessing actually has to do with the intuitive message. That intuitive message is geared towards whatever that person needs at that time. Now, I have no clue what the person in front of me needs when I start tapping into their heart chakra, but it could be anything from removing heavier energies. It could be downloading spiritual gifts. It could be putting them on a healer's table, whether that's galactic or more an Egyptian healer energy. It could be going through a past life. It could even getting soul fragments back for them. It just really depends on whatever that person needs at that moment in time. And I just ride the wave from there and say, all right, this is what we're doing. Let's go. So yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Wow, that's really interesting. Those are some detailed explanations about all that information. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, is that something that you can do remotely or not?
Yes. So I do it remotely. It's pretty much no different than in person. You'll still feel
Okay.
like if you're a feeler, you'll still feel the sensations. If you see energies, you may get visuals, but you'll definitely see a change in the person within, a couple minutes.
And so this is a gift that you have, and it's not necessarily something that I can learn how to do.
So I actually teach a variety of classes that teach you parts of this, that when you put them all together, you would be able to do it yourself as well. But it's being able to tap into somebody's heart chakra, and then being able to just feel the energy and sense the energy, and then getting whatever messages your guides give you to be able to follow what they want you to do with that energy. So in a variety of different classes, I teach how to feel energy, how to tap into different chakras, and then also how to listen to your guides and hear exactly what they want you to do. So
Can I make a request?
Yeah.
Since we have to get into the heart chakra is the first step, can we learn that first?
Yeah.
Because it's literally what you're saying is you go into the heart chakra and then go from there. So I love the approach. I'd want to hear a little more about the clearing of energy. Can you explain that? Because it's kind of one of those things that and raising vibration, we don't always explain what that means, but I'm gonna bet that you have a really great explanation or way for us to understand in a simple term what clearing energy means.
Yeah. So clearing energy to me, I'm going to start back with what we clear, right? Our bodies are made of atoms, right? All those atoms are moving at a certain rate, so on and so forth. Now, when we have an emotion, especially a heavy emotion, right? That emotion causes atoms to slow down when it gets heavy and dense. Then those atoms within our being, when they slow down and they get dense, they kind of get stuck in different areas. You'll notice that when people have a lot of the same emotion built up, somebody with a lot of anger, you're going to notice that in their liver itself, there's a lot of stuck energy, a lot of what feels like dense or heaviness. Okay. You'll see that somebody who has a lot of guilt or shame, they'll feel that on their chest, that heaviness on their chest. That's usually where that emotion resides. Okay. Now, when you go in there and you clear energy, what I basically do is I take a beam of light energy, bring it down through the person's crown, bring it all the way down there. And where there's light, there cannot be dark. So that energy comes down and it pushes anything that's heavier down out through their feet. Now, when that happens, people tend to feel lighter because that dense kind of energy gets broken up. It gets grounded out through their feet. They tend to be taller, right? Because if you're not having things heavy and weighing down on you, you're going to get taller. And when you don't have all of that, like, that guilt, that anger, that shame, that resentment, you're like this, right? You're just like, oh, I love it. But when you take it off, you go, oh, that's light. That feels good. All right, we're good. And that's really what it feels like when you start clearing that energy, because you get to that light being, that true essential of who you are, that light being. We are light, right? We are not heavy. That's what clearing energy is.
I love the explanation about the density, right? Feeling how it's dense and thick. That helps me identify it in a way and go, wait a second, that feels like the rocks in my bag that I don't need to carry around anymore. I can now identify the rock and take it out and leave it where it is.
Right.
I can get rid of that right now. And I understand a little more I understand a little bit more towards that raising the vibration. I think I'm reaching in it, but I love the idea of the clear energy. You know, Erin, you have you kind of have a knack with energy too. Would you share with us a little bit about what your what your thoughts are about what clearing energy means? I mean, is it the same? Do you have something else to add to that? Because I know it's a kind of an area you know about.
Yeah, that is definitely the thing that I have focused on in my metaphysical world. But one thing that I always bring up, it's my dad's a super athlete. So anyway, exercising, he always says like, well, you don't really get credit for that workout you did last year. And that is always kind of true. And I sort of bring that up, that it's always this thing that you have to continuously working on. So I assume there's some things that you do that are clear and they're just clear, but then there's probably other things that have to kind of be the exercise and you get into it. So I don't know if you could share, or just how do you help people so that they continuously feel that lightness? Because I can imagine just the world, there's so much going on in the world that it can start having you feel heavy again. So how do you keep that up?
Yeah. So initially, when I give somebody a soul blessing, that is like a massive clearing on them, right? And then they feel lighter, and they'll feel lighter for a period of time. But how I keep that up is more teaching them the tools that they can utilize themselves, teaching them how powerful their own words are, right? Teaching them that they can literally change their thought patterns to look at situations in a different manner that brings them more positivity, right? Teaching them how to feel their own energy, right? A lot of times we are so shut off to our 5D selves, and we're so involved in the 3D world, we don't even know what our intuition is trying to tell us. So how do we open up our eyes, open up our senses to be able to feel that? And as I teach people the tools themselves to be able to open up to their own intuition, then they can take it and they can just expand from there.
I love that. I love that it's ongoing. So I heard the soul blessing, but it's so much more than that. You can just continuously keep this growing and this education about yourself. And are there a few different classes you have, or things going on?
Yeah, I have quite a bit going on right now. I'll tell you some of my favorites. I do teach a weekly channeling class. That's anywhere from somebody who's never channeled before at all the way to people who have channeled, right? We've had some pretty miraculous things happen, anywhere from somebody literally channeling the voice of Archangel Michael, which is amazing to see the growth where somebody can actually do that. We have had somebody bring in their dog before who witnessed kind of a rough situation. We've actually tapped into that dog and channeled a message from that dog so they could report what happened at that situation. We've worked on channeling our own spirit guides. You know, who are your spirit guides? How do you talk to them? Those are things that I teach within that channeling class. Another class I like to teach, which is really fun, I call it Metaphysical Tidbits. That's literally ways for us to explore different metaphysical topics, right? We've all done like tuning forks, singing bowls. That's great. But do we have an opportunity to play with those ourselves, experience those ourselves, and beyond that, right? The other day we were physically moving objects. Can we physically get objects to move? Let's do it, right? Another time we experimented with what's called egg cleansing. That's actually where you take an egg and you rub it on your body. That egg absorbs different energies from your body. You can crack open the egg and then you can read it and it will tell you different things. And we just explored different modalities within metaphysics so people get to try different things, get the hands-on experience, and then they can decide, okay, yeah, this is for me, or it's not, let's try something else. And that just gains their knowledge and expands their abilities, which I absolutely love. And then the last class that I teach on a regular, it's called a psychic abilities class. And that's literally where I tap into each student's heart chakra and I ask their guides, what psychic ability do they need to download at this time? Whatever I get told, I'll teach them, the person standing there, and then they'll teach the rest of the class. And then the next person will come up and we'll tap into that person. We'll download a psychic ability for them, or a tool or something, teach them, and then they'll teach the rest of the class. And so by the time you get done, you've learned 10 different tools, tricks, whatever it is that's relevant to at least one of those person in the class and probably more. So that's a really fun class as well.
That's amazing. They're
Thanks.
all so different. And
Yeah.
yet they all
Well,
tell-
I mean, it's what
Yeah.
people want. They want to know, how can I grow? You know, and how can I grow specifically for me? Right? Like everybody has different abilities. So if your ability is seeing, how can we utilize that and how can we grow that? If your strength is feeling energy, how can we just grow on that? And so on and so forth.
So, you were talking about singing bowls and tuning forks, and is that, you know, a lot of times people are using those to clear their energy, right? And and also to raise their vibration. So clearing our energy on a regular basis makes it easier for us to keep our vibration raised, or do you have tools for people? And what is exactly the difference between keeping a clear energy and a high vibration?
That's a really good question. Yes, you should clear your energy on a regular basis. I can teach you a couple different tricks that I teach my students on just quick in the moment things. And then there is a difference between clearing your energy and raising your vibration. Mostly in the sense of when you clear your energy, to me, that's also shutting off your thoughts and your ego and anything that's going to confuse you or have you misinterpret your messages from your guides. Okay. So for instance, I always think of if you ask the question when you're 16, you know, and you're in love and you're like, does he love me? Does he love me not? Oh, I know he does, right? Well, you're actually projecting out that he does rather than allowing your guides to say, here's the facts, right? And so you're not clear. But if you remove your thoughts and your ego, then you become a clear channel and you can get that intuitive message clearly, okay? Now, raising your vibration is basically removing your dramas, your traumas, yuck energy. I don't even care if it's, you know, the guy who cut you off in traffic, right? It's removing all of that so you literally as close to your light being as you possibly can. None of that yuck dense energy, just as high as you can possibly get it. And if we think of like sound, right? And we think of sound waves, high vibration is literally something moving really, 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 really fast, right? So when you're weighed down by that yuck energy, just like if you were trying to oscillate or move really, really fast, you would actually be harder to do it, right? So that's a little bit lower vibration. But if you raise your vibration, you're able to go as fast as you possibly can. That's raising your vibration.
Thank you for that. I love the ego and the thoughts, getting those out of the way. That's a huge, huge tip. Thank you.
I like that you referenced the clearing of the energy means those things, because that actually defines it, right? That says, okay, here's something tangible. If I can experience this, then, you know, and then raise the vibration. What does that mean? Well, it means we can make a connection to some of these other things, all this unseen stuff that we're talking about, the questions we are asking out loud, right? The metaphysical stuff coming in. Now, Desiree, you and I have actually worked together more than once on shifting and working with energy. So I want to share a quick story about what we did at the BMSE. We didn't even know, you guys, that we were actually what we were actually doing until it happened, and then we didn't have the full view of it until we talked about it afterwards, which thankfully Colleen set that up when she quote introduced us. When she introduced Jason, Desiree knew what was going on. Just like a regular guy, I'm clueless. Okay, I can live with it. But we're at the Body Mind Spirit in Denver, and it was actually a new venue for the show, and I noticed that our side where I was, because I'm always by the labyrinth if I'm going to do that show, because I just like being by it. I mean, hello, I mean, it's on my arm, right? So I'm over by the labyrinth because that's where I like to be, but it ended up being in the back of the venue and there wasn't much traffic, and it felt really just kind of stuck, and it just wasn't really anything moving. And I commented to my neighbors at the time, and Desiree's down like 5 or 6 booths down from me in a little bit different section. So I was wandering around, kind of looking at the energy, wondering what was up. And I noticed in a couple of the spaces where there was a big threshold that it seemed like there were things stuck over there. And my friend Bobby Black, stuntman and tattoo extraordinaire, Bobby Black, he walks up and he's kind of like, man, I don't know what's going on. I'm just wondering. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be. And I was like, well, I was wondering the same thing because the traffic and the energy. And he goes, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. Hey, Jason, just go stand over there and own it. That's what he told me. Go stand in the place where you think the energy is kind of messed up or whatever, and just own that space and realign it. So I did. I have a thing about going counterclockwise, right around the space. I'll walk it in a big counterclockwise square, and we had pretty much that. What I noticed was as I was doing this, going around, I got to the third corner and I look at the other one, and there's Desiree doing the same thing, going clockwise around the same way. So we actually crossed in the middle. I think I noticed it, but you were doing your thing, and we just kind of crossed like ships there for a second. But it wasn't 30 minutes later, not 30 minutes, and both of the thresholds that I had seen were clear. There was traffic, everybody was flowing into that side, and everybody was busy the rest of the day on that side. And Desiree, I know you had your own view of why you did the same thing. So from your point of view, knowing that we overlapped, what's your part of that story?
Yeah, I just remember, standing there and things got a little slow, and I go, okay, guides, what's going on? And they go, get up and move. I said, all right. So I started moving, and not just like walking around, but one of the ways that I work as a clairsentient is my arms go up, my arms go out, and I'm dancing around, moving energy like crazy. So here I'm moving it with my arms, I'm moving it, twirling my body, I'm making a scene. That's what's happening.
Oh, we were all kinds of crazy, man. I was walking around with Gordon, my little stuffed dragon too. He's at my feet. So we were no caring.
Yeah,
yeah, just doing the thing.
Didn't even notice people around me, right? Just literally moving the energy. But that's what it needed, right? It was, like you said, it was a new place. We just needed to clear it and clear it and clear it. And I noticed that even over the 3 days of the expo, every day it got lighter and lighter and lighter. And finally, by that third day, it was like, all right, we're ready. Next year, next time, it's going to be that much better. Right. And it was beautiful to see, but you just watched it just be like crickets. And then all of a sudden you just move the energy, and all of a sudden the people come, and things just lighten up, and you can feel it. It's pretty amazing. So thank you for that.
That sounds like that sounds like both of those things, the clearing of the energy and the why, and then what it's like to actually raise the vibration and have I would call that intuition or awareness or something like that, and then the willingness to take the next step. So here's what I think, you guys, is who else would like to chime in and share what you feel like what it means to raise your vibration? Because Desiree and I just kind of defined it sort of for what it was for us in that moment, but what does it mean to others? So Darlene, I'm gonna put that to you. What does raising your vibration mean to you now at this point in our conversation?
Well, when I raise my vibration, I go into gratitude, because I know gratitude is a very high vibration. And so I'll just be grateful and just ramble off or think how much gratitude I have for a lot of different things, or focusing on one really strongly. That's how I get a high vibration.
Yeah, and I like the work that you guys are doing for the collective, right? You're doing your energy work for the collective, for service to others is a way that instantly raises my vibration anytime I can do that. And I think the more your guys' story and the more we can do that for the collective, right? When we start thinking outside ourselves again, right? We go in and then we can go back out. And, I think we've seen that effect with Milton, actually, with the collective throwing their energy at that hurricane. Yeah, it's a game changer.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Thanks for just laying that right out there, because there's some real stuff happening in that one. Erin, what is, and by that one I mean Milton and what happened when it hit land. Okay, there were people working on that. Erin, what's your thought about raising vibrations?
First off, I when you explained it as vibrating faster versus, I think a lot of times people who don't know well think vibrating higher vibration means somewhere up, that you're actually in some sort of altitude up. And it's not necessarily that, because it's actually that you are, I guess, almost more focused on what you have, because maybe you're not having the oscillation so much. So it definitely spoke to my math brain, because I am half in mathematics and computer science and half of over here. So there is an extremely practical versus metaphysical part, but I really love that. I think really when I see vibrations raise, it's like you get to have this more awareness of yourself and where you are and the choices you make and how you make them, and being able to make these more intentional choices towards the things that are better for you and not. And it's almost like if your vibration's too low, you don't have that, you almost don't have the energy to make those choices. Like you're going to do whatever kind of feels right in the moment, versus being like, wait a second, there might be something that is going to make me feel better. And, being at that crossroads in the path and choosing the right one. So that is my, that is how I see it, but it feels so much better and so much more exciting to make the choices when you're in the high vibration than when you're not.
That was awesome, Erin, because you reminded us of what it's not too, right? It's not necessarily we're going up some kind of steps. It can be visually or feel that way in a sense, but it's not actually what we're aiming for. We're not trying to be higher or bigger than something else. And around the horn there, we heard gratitude, service, making better, more aligned, confident decisions. And we're all over why clearing our energy and raising our vibration and how they're linked together. I think the last piece that we have there in what you do in the soul blessings, Desiree, is the message. So give us a little more about that stage, because we've definitely talked about the ones that lead up to it.
Yeah, well, first I'd like to mention gratitude. I love that somebody said that, right? That is probably the number one way I step into a higher vibration, is literally just being thankful. And it could be anything. Thank you for the trees. Thank you for outside. Thank you for the lights. Whatever it is, that is huge to be able to raise your vibration and put yourself in the moment, and just gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. So I absolutely love that. All right, so to speak a little bit more about that intuitive message, it can be just about anything, and that's what makes it fun, right? There's going to be a little bit of just what I feel on my body, in a sense of if I feel a heaviness, an ache, a pain, or something anywhere within my body, I'll say that. For instance, I'll be like, oh, I feel a little bit on my heart chakra. I'm going to clear it. I'll clear it right there. I may feel if somebody twisted their knee. Oh, I have some pain in my knee. Why am I feeling that? Let's clear that, right? It may be that their intestines are a little off. They need to take some probiotics, right? I'll be like, oh, you know what? You're going to have to watch where you eat a little bit. I can feel it physically within my body. Dehydration is another thing I feel. Sometimes I'll even feel down to kind of a more microscopic level. My guides will have me look at anywhere from the nervous system. If somebody has like misfiring of the nerves and they need like the fatty tissue around them thickened, they'll go into that level. If somebody has blockage within the cardiovascular system, we'll actually look at clearing that out. So it's even on like a micro level that I'll look at some stuff. Sometimes I'll ask them beforehand if they have an aches or pains, and I'll say, okay, what number it is from a scale 1 to 10. If they say like an 8, I'll literally focus on that pain. I'll just ask that any ailment be cleared from that. And then once I feel that it's cleared on my end, I'll ask them again, what number is it? They'll usually say like 3 or 4, and then I'll do it another time. until it gets down to about a 1 or 2. And then from there, I'll consider that pretty clear, right? So that's like aches and pains, removing different energies from different areas of the body, seeing different kind of ailments within the body. And then from there, I'll also get like emotional traumas. So if I feel a lot of, yeah, right?
Like, why are you running the table and taking all this crap on? Oh, my knee. Oh, my elbow. Oh, my heart. My brain. I mean, what is really happening here? So you're clearly an empath and willing to heal. That's what we're dealing with. So how do you, like, is this happening to you randomly? Like, if somebody walks by and you go, oh, my knee, oh, that hurts. Or is this because you tune in? I mean, I know that I tune into some of the things. I have the emotional aspect of the empathic ability, and I can hear, thoughts occasionally, but it's not like I walk around knowing what's going on. So help me understand, first of all, if that's what happens. And I would guess you found out because you were picking up on it. So how do you avoid that now that you're way more sensitive?
Yeah. So one, when I'm doing a soul blessing, I'm intentionally tapping into that person, asking, can I please feel what I need to feel? May I please get the message I need to get for that person? So in that instance, I am open wide to it. I'm more of a physical empath, and I say that meaning I physically feel it in my body, right? And that means if somebody in a past life was stabbed, I will feel that knife go into me, right? Now, that sounds harsh, but it's just like watching a football game. You ever watch a football game and you see a guy be tackled and the entire audience goes, right? It doesn't hurt the audience. The audience didn't feel anything, right? Same thing with me. It doesn't hurt me, and I don't feel it per se, but I just perceive it enough to be able to realize what's happening with that tackle, with that emotion, with that pain. But it's not mine, so it's gone like that. Okay?
Skip the replay.
It's like the replay. Right?
In football, but in football, they show you the same thing like 5 times, right? You see it from 5 different angles. I don't want to watch it that many times, especially if it hurts my knee. Don't take that on. just
Right.
From one colleague to another. You don't have to do that. No, I actually, I'm kidding, because I feel like what you've done is really refine how you do it. Like, that's your process. You feel it physically, so you've leaned in and embraced that. And that's what, I mean, you had to kind of wade through that a little bit. My goodness, I bet you got stories about how that came about, right? and what that actually means for you. Yeah, because you've gone through and refined the ability. So if you can raise this vibration, I would imagine somewhere along the way you dealt with a lot of very low vibrational things, because it bounces you back the other way, right? So I just, what you're doing and what you're bringing to the world is so amazing, because you really are having those types of conversations. And I've seen what you're talking about. We not just when we were next to each other, but multiple times, right? That we've actually worked together. I know that I've sent people your way because they needed what you had. You need healing right now. That's not really why I'm here. Go to an actual healer. I'm a reader. Go to a healer. That really helps, right? To be cohesive that way, and for people to do different things. You also have that kind of galactic view. You work with everything when it's available. So your divine roster, if we will, is basically unlimited. Right. So help me understand, or more the folks that are listening, if they're tapping into that and they're hearing or feeling or experiencing those kinds of things, because if they're going to clear themselves, their vibration is going to be available. So those opportunities are actually going to show up. So how do they identify those and get to that message stage that you're talking about?
Well, number one is know if it's yours or somebody else's, right? In the sense that when I first started, if I was walking down an aisle in a grocery store, I would pick up on things from other people, and I didn't realize it wasn't mine. Right? And clearing something that's mine versus somebody else's is way different, right? I don't carry their trauma, so it's easy for me to clear it. But if I'm triggered by something in myself, that's a little different, right? So the first thing is stay grounded as much as you possibly can. Number two, be able to find out what your baseline, what your true inner self is. Now, I'm going to teach you guys something really quick, how I go inside of myself. I actually learned this from a monk, really quick and easy. But if you place your hands flat like this, put your thumb, tuck it in, put your fingers down. Now, this flat part right here, right on the inside of your knuckle, place one on each hip, and then go ahead and take a nice big breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. So what this actually does is it puts a shell up around you and actually protects you so that nobody else's energy can get to you, and it centers you. When that happens, that's how you feel. That's your being right now. Now you can decide, okay, is that mine? Is that somebody else's? And how should I handle that?
Mine is so happy.
Right? Nice. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, in our session, a past life of mine was brought up. So there's also healing that is done also. It was presented, and we not only healed myself, but we also healed the child that was involved in that. So there's a lot of that that they present also.
Yes, exactly right. So other things that come forth is the healers themselves. So you have big groups of the priestesshood in the Egyptian days. Those beings come forth quite a bit. They work parallel with Jesus and Mary Magdalene from my experience. What will actually happen is a client, like when I tap into the client, they'll ask me to lay them on this table. This table itself has kind of clear quartz underneath and then a gold ball above it. It's within the Egyptian pyramids. I don't know if this actually exists in real life.
Confirm what you're talking about. In my experience, I can match it exactly. And you and I have never talked about it.
Awesome,
I have my own stories that match exactly what you're saying. So please continue.
Perfect.
I'm right there. We're right there with you.
Yeah. So what will happen is they'll actually lay this person on the table. And then from there, so many things can happen. I don't know if it's psychic surgery in the sense where they'll cut the individual open. They'll take out little thorns of kind of what looks like dark or black energy. Sometimes I've had it so they take off a hand and replace it with kind of what looks like a bionic hand, and it's like an upgrade, the 2000 version. Sometimes it'll be a leg. Sometimes they'll do a full cleanse. They'll actually scan the body and kind of put it kind of looks like a white light through them. And when they put the white light, they're looking for any voids in the person. All sorts of things like that. There can be a variety of different beings there with them. The priestesshood, the Egyptian priestesshood, as well as their ancestors will both be working on them. And then you'll see some higher selves come in as well. The other thing that's been really miraculous lately that I just want to bring up is the galactic healing. And this to me was so amazing. So I just want to share it. But during one of my channeling classes, we noticed that there was a signal going out from Earth, right? And it was basically going, hey, Earth could use a little bit of help right now, right? And then one of my students saw a light on another planet sending a signal back, right? And all of a sudden they connected. And the signals, when they connected, literally just went with light, right? From there, which was amazing, the group of individuals that I had that day, we began to astral project. Each one of the individuals in that class that day went to a different planet. And just as Earth has what I call the Egyptian Healing Center, I don't know what it's really called. That's just a name I made up. They went to the Egyptian healing centers on all these different planets throughout the galaxies and said, hey, by the way, Earth needs a little bit of help. Can you help us? And then all of a sudden you saw all these beams of light just shoot down to Earth and just start to light us up and help us. And I'm going, this is awesome. So now not only do I work with the priestesshood with Egyptian healers, It's also the galactic healers will send in their energy as well to help the individuals I'm working with.
Bring it all to the table, girl. Get it done. Literally to the table. I've heard that analogy so many times of whatever healing experience ending up on a table. And what happens when we go to the doctor? We end up on a table somewhere. It's literally the same thing. I also understand there to be really cool healing waters underneath the pyramids. So whenever you get to that place, if somebody needs a spa day, there's a perfect place like just right down the hall, just so you know. The same thing's probably true on a galactic level.
So it's funny you say that because I actually saw Oshun, I believe is how you say it. Oshun was pouring a like clay pot of energy into the Nile. The Nile was this dark, muddy, yucky kind of water. Cleared it up to crystal blue, raised the level as it was going underneath the pyramids.
Aquarian water bearer right here, just saying the synchronicities are showing it to us right here. So those of you out there that feel like you are attached to the Egyptian thing, you have the opportunity to take this moment and get yourself on that table or get yourself in the healing waters underneath those pyramids. You can do it. You can do it, folks. You already have the ability. You don't have to find somebody to convince you or tell you. If you're already inclined, just get it done. That makes me so happy that we went there. We had the galactic conversation. We just went around the horn and figured out what it takes for us to get into these places and stay there. You've told us about the grounding. You've told us about being open to the healing, to identify and operate in our own space. Right. And you spend so much time teaching other people to do that in the simplest ways and even in practice environments. That's what I'm hearing. So I know that folks can go to Desirea with an A, Pitman.com and get your information. And with the same spelling, Desirea with an A, you guys, don't forget the A because you'll need it. Pitman. You can find you on socials it was all the same, wasn't it? I mean, good job by you, by the way, right? To have all your social handles be almost the exact same thing. You got the metaphysical tidbits and the energy enhancement chamber that we didn't even get to. So people are going to have to reach out to you to hear about that. The one thing that we hadn't talked about, and I really love that you have this ongoing thing that you've been doing for a while, right? Because I know how much you probably love it, is that weekly online meditation. And that is, you're bringing people together. What can they expect from you when they come to that weekly meditation?
I'm so excited that you brought that up because I'm so excited about it. Now, I travel the country doing this. On the weekends, I do soul blessings across the country. During the week, I'm more local with classes. But throughout those travels, I have met some amazing healers. And I go, you know what? If I can do amazing work with this individual and that individual and that individual, how can we put it all together and offer it to the collective? So it's literally a collection of different healers that I've met across the country. We're coming together and doing a weekly meditation. Now, these are people who all have their own abilities and their own strengths, but they're also people who have been impactful in my life and literally pushed me forward and let me gain spiritual level after spiritual level after spiritual level. We'll be doing things like working with alchemy wands, which is a form of water infused with different energies. Let me just explain the very first time that I've used an alchemy wand. We would play this game where this healer would hand me one and I'd be like, what do I feel? And I would feel the energy and describe it to him. The very first time he handed me this wand, prior to this, I could feel bolts of electricity coming through my fingers. When he handed me this wand, in between my fingers merged and I started having rocket boosters come out of my hands. I said, oh my goodness, it's like rocket boosters. That's amazing. And he goes, look at the name of the wand. And I look at the name and it says Healing Hands Wizard. That is the type of energy that we are bringing to the meditation. So not only do we clear heart chakras and solar plexus and all of that to open people up so that they can have a magical experience, so they can step into their true power. We're bringing the energies from across the United States and helping to open up people's abilities. Not to mention a little tidbits of teaching, because I can't go without teaching. I have to teach 1 or 2 things every single time. So it should be quite amazing.
With such an amazing opportunity to get people together and learn, that you can't miss with that. You really can't. It reminds me of our previous episode with Morgan Drake, and he had he's a wizard, and the episode was about runes, but he also makes wands and those pieces. So we just recently had an opportunity to learn about those. And if you need a wizard, by the way, he does custom work. So check out the episode and check out Morgan Drake and his Etsy shop. The last thing here, Desiree, I want to say so many thank yous for joining us. I'm so glad that it turned out the way that it did, and that even though I was a little boneheaded getting it put together and connecting the dots, that it's so exciting and the synchronicities were here for us. I love what you're doing with the world too. That opportunity to be in service at that level really does matter. It makes a difference. So whether you're putting those things together or participating in them, I urge people out there to any of those things that you're drawn to, go to DesireaPitman.com, see what she's got going on, and any of those that you find that you're drawn to, go check them out, because there really are collectives that are putting together things that are having an impact. We already talked about Milton tonight, right? We talked about clearing energy and raising vibration. If these things align for you and you have beliefs in those, please take some of the things we've worked with today, get your hands on your hips, say a couple of breaths, and be ready to go. So Desiree, I want to say one last thank you and so much gratitude for you being here this evening and well, afternoon, day. Where are we? What's today? Thanks for being present on the planet, friend.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was such a magical experience. And I just want to say thank you to you all, and many, many blessings. So much love.
And on behalf of the
Thank
Two
you.
Scoops of Woo cast, yes, many thank yous.
Very
Right
much,
on.
very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good times today. Good times today. Very fun. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up for this round. Want to say thanks to the Two Scoops of Woo cast, and especially our behind the scenes. There is support for us that keeps us going and keeps us on track, and we always want to recognize that there's more to the team than just what you see here. So thank you so much for tuning in to Two Scoops of Woo, where we are delivering metaphysical flavor on a cone of logic. And like Erin said tonight, that's why it's 2 scoops of woo for most, but a lot of times for us, it's a scoop of logic and a scoop of woo. That's why we're asking metaphysical questions out loud. So we will see you in the next episode. Please like, share, do all the subscribing, and push all the buttons for all the things. And much peace to you and love, and we'll see you next time.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.